Hello everyone and welcome back to Do You Even CSGO, the fast-paced tip series that'll take you from noob to pro in no time at all. This week we'll be looking at how to get the most from your flashbangs, so let's get this show on the road. After its brother, the smoke grenade, the flashbang is the second most useful tool in your grenade arsenal, and as such you should be picking up a couple of them whenever you have some spare cash. At $200 it's also the cheapest nade on offer, so there's really no excuse to not have one available most of the time. Put simply, the flashbang does what it says on the tin, exploding loudly with a bright flash that will turn any player in the area's screen white for up to 5 seconds, whilst temporarily drowning out sounds like footsteps, leaving them blind, deaf, and generally about as helpless as a console player with a controller. You'll be fully blinded if a flash detonates anywhere on your screen, but the effects are lessened if the explosion is further from your field of view. The flash is probably the most versatile of all of the grenades, and it will help you out in many a sticky situation, but it's best used as part of an aggressive play, flashing enemies and then actively capitalizing on the advantage you've created. This makes it especially effective on Teesside, where flashes play an integral role in taking map control and entering bomb sites. For the counter-terrorists, however, it's a powerful tool for slowing down and stopping the terrorists as they surge towards a site, but can also be used to help aggressive pushes for info or early kills. As I'm sure you've noticed, there's a short delay between throwing the grenade and detonation, which means that a switched on player will often have time to spot the flashbang sailing through the air, turn away, and turn back in time to punish the poor soul who expected to be faced with a sitting duck rather than a hail of bullets. Not exactly ideal. One of the best ways to stop this happening is by pop flashing. The idea here is that you throw the nade in such a way that it gives your opponent no time to react and avoid being blinded. There are basically an infinite number of ways to do this, from learning set pop flashes to counter common plays to improvising on the fly, and it's definitely something that requires a lot of practice to get right. It's also important to remember that in addition to seeing the grenade itself, the flashbang makes a distinctive noise when bouncing off surfaces, so if you can avoid hitting anything, you'll further increase your chances of successfully blinding the enemy. If a pop flash isn't viable, you could also try mind gaming your opponent by throwing an obvious flash, but peeking before it goes off. With any luck, you'll catch them with their back turned, although the timing involved here can be a little tricky. As I mentioned earlier, flashes are crucial when it comes to entering bomb sites as a terrorist. Entry fragging is something we'll look at in more detail later on in the series, but for now let's just cover a couple of quick pointers. On every bomb site in the game, there are certain key angles that you have to peek in order to eventually take control and plant the bomb, but you always have to assume that the CTs are watching those angles like hawks. So, do yourself a favor, look up some entry flashes for your favorite maps and put them to good use, particularly if the enemy team has a half-decent AWPer who will likely wreck your dreams every round if you don't blind him up and force him back. When it comes to Teesside, dry peeking, or peeking without flashing first, is for silvers. And in the immortal words of Robert Downey Jr.,
never go full retard.
This should probably go without saying by now, but communication is vital when messing around with equipment that can leave you so vulnerable. You should always call out when you're going to flash, and you'd better make damn sure you know where that grenade is going so you avoid those rather awkward team flashes. Additionally, if you're willing to cooperate with your team, you can actually set up some pretty cool plays. For example, if someone flashes for you, you won't have to wait for your gun to come back up and can therefore peek more quickly to capitalize on the advantage. It's also much easier to pop flash if you're a bit further from a corner, so think about how you can help each other out. Two more things. The classic Stewie 2K pop flash through smoke can be a very effective play, but if you're going to try and pull this off, it all comes down to the skill level of your opponents and predictability. You are not going to catch anyone off guard if you do the same things round after round, and seasoned players will likely expect it. After all, there is a reason people used to make fun of Stewie, and it's not because his habits were wildly effective. The final tip I have for you is that the actual bang the flash makes as it detonates can be used to mask other sounds in the environment and deprive your opponents of audio info, such as a bomb defuse or a door opening, so that might be handy to bear in mind. Don't forget to tune in next week when we'll be moving on to HE grenades, and if you have any suggestions or questions, please do scribble away in the comments below. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll see you on the next one.